Okay, today we are going to discuss fundamentals of backup, restore, and archives. So, we have already seen what is backup, and restore is a mechanism where we use this backup to restore the data, and archive we are going to study today only. So, first we are first we will see how this. Okay, first we will be seeing when we will be using this backup and DR technique. So I have told in the last lecture also that backup and DR will be used when your RPO value will be greater than 24 hours and your RTO is not aggressive. Not aggressive means it's again greater than 24 hours. Means if your RPO RTO is greater than 24 hours or 1 day, then we can use backup and DR as a data protection mechanism. So we are going to study backup NDR. So this is saying like RPO is greater than 24, RPO isn't aggressive means RTO is also greater than 24. Then offline copy of the data. So backup is what always backup is offline copy of the data. Offline copy of the data means it requires some time to restore the data and as well as the copying of the data. The backup is taken on a device that can be taken for offline as well as off-site processing. So backup may be present online as well as backup may be present offline also, as well as on-site or off-site. Off-site means suppose this is your data center, this is your data center, and this is your place where you are keeping the backup. So this is your backup server and this is your data center. So whenever there is a chance you can keep your backup. So this will be like off-site storage of the backup, and if you are keeping the backup at this place, so this will be a on-site backup. So this backup technique can be of on-site as well as the off-site. Now, this important line is written like this. Backup is the last line of defense. So, backup is the last line of defense means whatever techniques, this is your backup. So, before backup, you can use several techniques like asynchronous replication, then mirroring or other rate levels are there. But it is always suggested that even if you have multiple techniques or different techniques for data protection, you should use backup as a last line of defense because there may be a chance that these things might also uh, fail due to some disaster. So in that scenario, you have a backup from where you can restore the data. The reason is like we can store the data offsite also in the case of backup. So other solutions may need a real time copying of the data. So in case of disaster, this may also fail, or a disaster can occur at both places. So we will be using backup as a last line of defense. That means whatever different techniques we are already using, we will still having backup as a last line of defense. Means anything occurred, but backup, if backup is lost, then data is surely lost. So backup is the last line of defense. That means backup should always be there uh, in case of different present solutions you are using. And if the backup is lost, there is very least chances that you can recover the data. So backup is the most important point to be focused. Now, this is the differentiation between a backup and an archive. So you already know what is archive and what is backup. The thing is like that both techniques are used to protect the data. Okay, but in this scenario, archives are more oriented towards the reducing the load. Means suppose in your storage there are 100 GB of space. You are using 20 GB of data on a real time on a regular basis, but there are 40 GB of data that is not currently used, or that is an old data. So this piece of old data of 40 GB you can kept it as an archive. So by this you can reduce the storage load. Means if this is on a data center, you can keep it on a tape drive for archival purpose. So it will provide a cheaper storage solution. So first point was that both are for data protection, but archive is more oriented for this storage cost reduction or saving the storage space. And then second point about backup is like it copies original data on alternative medium, as well as archives copy the original data on alternative medium. But the difference lies is the point, like this is this creates a copy of the data, but this creates the movement of the data. Means this is copy, but this is cut paste. Means whenever we are archiving some data, will be moved from the original source to some alternate location. Now this is used for restoration. This is used for retrieval. Retrieval means because you are not having this copy, having this data copy anywhere else, so this will termed as a retrieval, and this will termed as a restoration because you are using the backup to restore the data. But retrieval is you can keeping some data in archival mode, so you can retrieve the data from this using this archives. Now this is performed for protection if we talk about backup, but this is performed from the cost purposes, means for storage cost and space. Then this should be application aware, but the application should be aware in the case of archives. So this is some important point. Like your application should, your backup should be application aware. That means which application is using your backup, so that the restoration process can be properly managed. But if we talk about archive, the application should be archive aware. Means that data is used for archives, or that data is retrieved from the archive or not. So this creates a burden on the application, and this is flexible for the applications. Now this is used for business continuity, and this is for the use. Archives are always used for compliance purpose. These are some examples of the compliance. I can easily explain about compliance. Since we suppose if we talk about this our SRE data, there are compliance that the records for the evaluation should be maintained, like suppose 10 years. So all the answer scripts must be stored in archives till this till 10 years. After that we can destroy it, but there is a compliance to ensure, like we have to store this data for 10 years only. Similarly for this compliance, like ISO and other, we have to store the data for some time, like 1 year, 2 year, 5 years. Or there are also security measures also, that these archives can be used for any kind of backtracking of the scenario, that what happens in the past 5 or 6 years. So this archive can be used for this purpose. Now the data cycle should be less than 1 year, which is approximately 1 week or 1 month only. But if you talk about archives, its data cycle will be around 1 year. So this is a difference between this backup and archive. Now this you have seen many times in different subjects. This is nothing but the storage hierarchy. So this is kind of a bird eye view. This is a bird eye view. So this is the eye, and this is the triangle or pyramid you can see from the top. And what this pyramid means, this pyramid simply says that when you go up the hierarchy, the cost is increasing. When you are going to the going down to the hierarchy, time is increasing. So I'm talking about only in the terms of increase. So this time is what? This time is the access time, and this time is the storage cost. So what we want to have, the target is creating this storage hierarchy, is to provide a cheaper, faster, and large storage. So this hierarchy is kind of optimization, or we can say that it is a kind of technique which can provide this cheaper, larger, and faster storage. So when you are on the top of the storage, you are getting the fastest possible memory, that is your RAM or the cache memory like L1, L2 cache. When you are coming to the back, this bottom of the pyramid, you are having the largest size of memory like 1 TB or 100 TB storage. But you are always knowing this, on the bottom of this pyramid you are having this slow access storage. So from the top you are having a faster storage, and on the bottom you are having a lower storage. Now you have seen that like cache mechanism and different types of primary storage to secondary storage, whenever some chunk of data is needed, that will be kept to up the hierarchy. So in this way, on the top, the access time is very fast, and what we are trying to do, we are trying to provide a larger storage. So suppose uh, in the SSD we are having this much of storage stored, but you all know that at a time we need only certain chunk of data that is to be used at a time. So whenever that data is required, that chunk is taken from this storage, then moved to a more faster storage, and ultimately the data is read or write from a CPU. So that need to be copied to the CPU. So by this using this storage triangle pyramid, we are having this faster and larger storage with optimization in the terms of cost. Now this is inside your magnetic drive. So if you talk about this magnetic disk, the two important part is head and surface. So head is a moving head and surface is a magnetic surface. That is why it is called a magnetic disk. So what happens? Suppose okay. So I will just tell you what one and zero is. So if we talk about the polarization, suppose I am talking north polarization as one and south polarization as zero. So this surface is what? This surface is a magnetic surface. So suppose we want to write 1 or 0 on the surface, what we do? We are changing the polarization as per the data. So suppose now we want to write this 1 1. Suppose we want to write this 1 1 0 0 1 1 0 0. We want to write this data on the disk. So what we do, by using this head, because head is a coil, so what it does, it creates a polarization on the surface like this only. So it creates a polarization like for one, it there is a polarization of north, then south, then north, south. Okay, so this is how the data is written on the magnetic disk based on the polarization. So what head is? Head is simply a coil. Coil means a coil from which a current can be passed, and this surface is a magnetic surface that can be polarized on the basis of this current flow. So what head does? Head moves just above the surface, and it is a coil, so it works on the induction. It can induce the magnetic field. So suppose we want a north polarization, then clockwise current will be used for creating a north polarization, and anti-clockwise the current will create a south polarization. So based on this, suppose whenever we want to write this data, we have to change the current of direction alternatively so that this polarization can be done. So for one, a clockwise current is flowed, then clockwise current, then anti-clockwise, again the current clockwise, anti-clockwise, and anti-clockwise. In this way, this data is written. Now, if the data is already written and now we want to read this data, so what we'll do, there is no current in this magnetic head. This head moves around the surface, and based on this magnetic field, a current is generated on the coil, and based on this direction of the current that is generated by the magnetic field, we will be reading the data. That means when the head is on the surface and if induced current is flowing in the direction of clockwise, then you can say that the data is 1, and if the current is moving in the anti-clockwise direction, you can say it's 0 only. So by this mechanism a magnetic disk works. So this is only for one surface. Now if we talk about a complete magnetic disk, it is a collection of such platters. So there is a spindle over there, and there are set of platters makes it a cylindrical structure. There are set of platters and there are set of read write heads for this magnetic drive only. So this is the basic functioning. And what happens? The head moves in this direction only. To and fro means forward and backward, and the disk rotates with a RPM value of, suppose these RPM values are given like 50,000, 15,000, 10,000, or 7,200. For the read-write purpose, this rotation and translation, this translation and this rotation helps in covering the whole surface of the circle, or this particular crater surface has been covered. So in this way, this the magnetic disk works. Now, why we are talking about magnetic disk and magnetic tapes? Because these are used for the purpose of backup, and magnetic tapes are used if you want more archival storage. The magnetic tapes are used. So that's why we are studying this architecture of magnetic disk drive as well as the architecture of tapes. So on the next slide, these are some connection standard that you have already covered in your assignment. Now coming to next slide, we are talking about the characteristics of magnetic disk. So one point is important, that it provides the random read and write. Random reads and writes with the help of this translation and this rotation, that at a certain point we can reach after some time, means maybe some microseconds or nanoseconds, we can reach this particular surface of the disk by the combination of this rotation as well as the head translation. So that's why it is a kind of random storage, as well as it's online because it can be directly connected. These are the rotation speed. The higher the rotation speed, the faster the disk response. Then there are read levels that will be discussing in the next lectures. So these are the characteristics of magnetic disk. After this, we are going to see this disk storage system array. So what disk system storage array is like? Suppose we are having a collection of 100 disks of 100 GB each. 100 disks of 100 GB each. So manually manage all these disks will be a very tough task, and this amount of storage we have to use in our organization. So we create a storage array, not we create, but the technology allows us to create a storage array where this storage is created like this. We have to put all the disk in a particular array, and all the disks are connected with this red wires, and these red wires is connected to a controller. So controller is some set of software which manages all these disks, means each decides that on which disk data has to be written or from which disk the data has to be read. So this controller manages all these things. And one more thing is like this is also covers the RAID architecture. That means we can provide the redundancy of the storage, and these physical storages are converted into logical storage by using this controller. So this set of disk are converted into some logical larger spaces, as well as it provides the rate levels. And the controller is all the things which manages. A controller is having the management of all the data reads and writes, and which disk is used for storing the data, or which disk can be used for archiving, or which disk can be used for this implementation of RAID. This all will be decided by the help of this controller. Now they are saying that how this disk array can be used. So for disk array to be used, we have one thing called logical volumes. So logical volume is like collection of some physical volumes or partition of a single disk. Both consist of a logical volume. That means this logical volume is expanding through set of disk, as well as this is consisting of set of disk, and this is consisting of set of disks. So this logical volume is used to manage the storage among this particular controller. So logical storage is used for managing these things. Then there are the connectivity among using this red wires. This red wires is the SCSI cable. Now one more thing is used, the LUN. LUN is logical unit number. Logical unit number is the kind of ID provided to each logical storage, which is used for this reading writing of the data from this logical volume. Okay, then we are having this features like remote replication, then compression, encryption, and point in time volume copy. Point in time volume copy is like we can copy this whole, there is one disk and we want to copy it. So this controller will help to copy this whole data in a time. Means very fast copying of the data is known as like point in time volume copy. Now remote replication is what? Remote replication means there is the one remote server, and this can be used for this copying of data. Now you can see these devices. These devices are switches, but these are some special switches. You can name it like SAN switches. So this is these switches are specially designed for this storage management. This is different, bit different from this network switches that is used for connecting devices using the LAN. This is design wise somewhere same, but the protocol running on these SAN switches is different. These protocols is like they are helping for storage. I mean, this protocol is especially designed for the storage. So SAN switches is one example of such switches. In this carrier, we can also use the SAN switches. Now, after this magnetic disk, we are having this magnetic tape. Now, working principle of magnetic disk and magnetic tapes are similar, but the difference between a magnetic disk and magnetic tape is that the head is not moving, but the tape is moving. So tape can move in this direction or in this direction. So head is fixed on this particular position, and the tape will be coming from one point to other point. So suppose it wants to write a data at this point, then the head will be on the same position, and the tape will be coming under the head, and the data will be written. Now, this is not a random access because tape cannot be a random access device. Because suppose if you want to read or write something at this point, you directly jump to this point. You have to travel through this point to reach this point. So this is not a random access device. Other principles are same, like this head will be a coil, and this will be a magnetic surface. Based on the polarization, it can identify that which value, either 1 is written or 0 is written. So magnetic tape is similar architecture with this magnetic disk. The only difference between a magnetic tape and magnetic disk is the direction of movement of the head. Now, magnetic tapes are used for archives purpose. So not only archives, it's also used for the backup purpose. And magnetic tapes are stored in the form of LTO. So LTO is linear tape open. Here open doesn't stand for the tape is open. This open stands for the open standards. So linear tape open standards is LTO only, and this is currently in the generation 8. So this is older PPT. So the current generation available for LTO LTO generation is 8. So there are some links where you can find this importance of LTO. I will be sharing those links. So from there you can find the details of this LTO. But this LTO has very important role in the case of backup and archives. So if you wish to see right now, I can share you the link. Okay, just watch these small videos